the original multi-club fan channel. Make sure you're following us now on Spotify and Apple Podcast. The link is in the description below. Welcome back to the Top 6 show today, sponsored by our friends at Tops Now. Brilliant collectibles, brilliant. I don't know what you call them. They're playing cards, but I don't play with them. I collect these things to make money in the future. The new Champions League range is out right now for the previous season. And if you are a City fan, there's going to be some historic cards in there for you. If you're not and you just like collectibles, if you're not, you just fancy making a bit of money in the future, scan the QR code on the screen now and get buying. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. And when you sign up today with your email address, they will give you a 10% discount. Lots to talk about on the show today as well. Declan Rice bids expected so that the deal can be completed this week. But where is he going to go? We're going to get the panel's opinion on that tonight. We're talking Kudus to Man United. Could that happen? Or will Brighton, of all the Premier League clubs, be the team to pip everybody to the post? We're talking Lavia and Mount updates today. Plus, we're looking at Chelsea. And they're looking at bids of Victor Osimhen and maybe a little bit of Magic Mike as well. And I'm not talking about the stripper movie. We're not talking about Matthew McConaughey and who's the other guy? Is it Channing Tatum? Who's seen it? I ain't. Yeah, some of you boys have seen it. I know you will. I know some of you boys have been forced to watch it by the other half. I've not seen it yet. I might get it later. Might stream it. But viewers, hit the like button. Hit the bell notification button as well so you don't miss any more streams. But panel, how are we all today? Are we all good? Are we well?
Living the dream, man.
All good, man. All good.
Good. I'm glad. A lot of people recognizing Lawless. I see in the comments. I've seen I've seen a few people shouting you out. For anyone who doesn't know, top right corner is Connor. He does a lot of editing for the likes of Egal and Faisal and other people out there making his debut on the terrace tonight. Of course, you all know Mo. Mo, the Inter fan at the bottom. It's taken him 2 weeks, but he's finally over the tears at that Champions League final. Gavalar is back with us today, the professional darts player. And of course, the loudmouth, the potty mouth, the Aussie Gonner is here with us right now, backing his Arsenal on the show. So welcome, gents. Welcome. But I wanted to start off with a really interesting story from over the weekend. Mount, the bid was in. There was optimism. It was rejected. United were walking away. They were going to try and take Caicedo. Then Chelsea said Bayern were involved. Now the offer's still on the table. Now Mount is saying that he's going to be professional if he has to go on pre-season. What's going on? What's going on with this deal, boys? Talk to me.
Silence. Like a bit of them.
Everybody's scared to say something. Everybody's scared to say the wrong thing.
No one knows where to come in. Not on that one. I'm confused. I don't know.
And then comes the Arsenal fan and talks to us.
Yeah, look.
All the football gods are shining some light on Manchester United because, to be perfectly honest, is Mount a player that Manchester United really want? Really? I don't know. My Chelsea guy there saying take him, but
he's generational.
I don't know too many. I don't know. I don't know too many Man United fans out there that were jumping for joy when they heard about Mason Mount to Man United. And to be honest, I think they're dodging a bullet if they don't get him. That's just my opinion. I just don't rate him. I don't.
You know what, Aussie Gonner? You know what, Aussie Gonner? If Man United at the end get Mason Mount for 50 plus 5, as they bid, and Chelsea came back with 10 million extra, and United said, no, I'm not getting him, do you know who's going to look stupid? Arsenal people for signing Kai Havertz for 65 and budging. So Man United standing up for themselves, while you guys said, 65 for Kai Havertz. That's a good deal for us.
I think Kai Havertz is a damn good player, to be honest. And, being a massive Bundesliga fan, I think if we see the Leverkusen side of Kai Havertz at Arsenal, then we're cooking. I'm happy with that.
Well, that's a lot of optimism, man.
But yeah, it is. But you know what Chelsea
We can also
do
go, Gav. We can also go to
Jadon
Jadon Sancho at Dortmund as well. How about that?
Yeah, very true. Then we could go at Haaland and Gundogan. There's a couple other Bundesliga projects as well.
Be realistic. You're going to see the Havertz after 3 years of dross he's put up at Chelsea. That's what you're going to see.
Yeah, he needs an arm around his shoulder and it's going to come good. But the Mount one, I think he fits quite nicely into Man United. He's got the legs. He could bang it from distance. He's got a good eye for a pass. I think what Man United, that's not the key area for me where Man United need help. I think that's what the problem is. He will add to the midfield because I think he's He's not. I don't think he's better than Eriksen, but I think he offers more than what Eriksen offers in this particular system. So I think where Man United needs to be looking, they need to get a striker out and out. We know this, and they need to sort out their goalkeeper situation. Now that David Raya isn't going to Tottenham anymore, I think that's where Man United should be looking, that type of goalkeeper, and then worry about Mason Mount if he's still available towards the end of the window.
But for me, Mason Mount, he adds to the squad. And I said it, yes, I don't think Mason Mount is a 60 million pound player, but I think for the price, he adds to Fred or McTominay. He's a level above them, in my opinion. And they're looking at other deals free. I know we're going to talk about them in a bit. But if they add Mount and the other player from Juventus, Rabiot, I think for both of them, for 55 million pounds, including bonuses, I think that's a positive deal. If they can get rid of Fred and McTominay for 60 million based on the reports, and they, instead of that, replace them with Mason Mount and Rabiot, I think that's a massive upgrade based on Rabiot's season. He is player of the season for Juventus. No doubt this year has been great for them from the midfield, playing for a defensive coach, Allegri, and scored. He's a French international. He was a problem before. He fixed up, 28 years old, peak of his career. Mason Mount for the future, maybe. But if both of them come for 55, it's a massive upgrade on Fred and McTominay. They still need to add another one, maybe. But even if they go to next season, as Gav said, with a striker and a goalkeeper and adding Rabiot and Mason Mount instead of Fred and McTominay, I think that's an upgrade. I think that they will fix up. I think that's not a bad option. But if they go for Mason Mount to 55, and now they go and sign another one for 40 million, someone that is not going to make an effect, now it's a bad business for them. So it all depends on what happens around Mason Mount, especially that his price now isn't 65, isn't 70 as Chelsea wanted. It's only 50 million, which is this market. If James Ward-Prowse is priced at 50 million, Mason Mount for 50 isn't bad at all. It's an okay deal, in my opinion.
I'll speak Rabiot in a minute. Cons, from your point of view, as a Chelsea fan, losing Mount has been player of your, very important in you winning your last major trophy in the Champions League, player of the season on I think season before last, if I might be mistaken, to correct me. How do you feel about losing him to a rival?
My opinion on Mount is in the minority. I really rate Mount. Like, I think Man United getting Mount for 55 million or even 60, I think that's a great deal. I think he's worth, if you had 5 years left on his contract, I think you're looking at 120 million at the minimum. With 5 years left on this deal, you're looking at over 100%.
I hear what you're saying. For the amount of time left on the contract, he's only got a year left. So the fact that they're asking for this amount of money, it all sort of comes around from, he's a product of the youth academy. He's also English, so therefore you have to lob a bit of English tax on a player. But if he was just signed, what Chelsea are doing at the moment with their 7-year deals at the moment, and they're having to move players on. If it was a year into that, and you desperately wanted him, I think he would be looking at that sort of like that sort of figure.
Yeah, and I even think now with 1 year left, I still think he's worth like less than 80. I would be unhappy about that. I think Chelsea, the initial asking price
performance,
80, I think was right.
Season on season. If you're a 120 mil player, like we have to, like Declan Rice. Consistent performances season on season. So not these dips, not these ghosting in big games. And I think that's what's hurt him and what's held him back. And that's why people are looking at him how they're looking at him now.
Yeah, but
have we switched subject? I'm sorry. Can someone enlighten me? Have we switched subject to a different player than Mason Mount? Or we're still talking about Mason Mount? Maybe I zoned out or something.
Come on,
maybe my headphones got muted or something.
No, if I say to you,
come on, dude.
2 times Chelsea Player of the Year. Last season, he put up, the season before last season, 21-22, he put up 11 goals in the league and 10 assists. That's 22 G8. What did Saka get this season?
Can I ask you something, my friend? Is he better than
we're not relating the two.
Yeah, let's compare Saka to Mount.
Let's compare Mount to someone who's in the same place. The most consistent player at Man United. And I said that yesterday and the day before. Is he better than Bruno Fernandes?
Yeah, he is. He's better than Bruno.
That's your genuine opinion, not because you're a Chelsea fan.
He's better than Bruno Fernandes. I think Man United are upgrading on Bruno with Mount.
By adding
I think they're going to play both.
Oh my God.
So in terms of I like kind of to finish the sentence here. What is it about Mason Mount that you think is better than Bruno Fernandes?
I think in terms of ball retention, I think he's better. I think he's better technically than Bruno. 100% he's better technically than Bruno. I think in terms of I think if he plays number 8, I don't know where you think Bruno's best position is, but if you were to play both number 8 like next to each other, I think Mount would outperform Bruno every game. I think in a number 8 position, being the link up in midfield, that is where Mount is elite. He is elite in that position. But in the last 3 seasons, he's been playing out of position. He's been playing right wing. Under Tuchel, 2 seasons in a row, he played right wing, and he was our best player. So I don't know. I really
can I go into this conversation and tell you, has Mason Mount made a position his as Chelsea when he's fit, or he was floating around?
That's the same thing with Kai Havertz.
Has he made a position his?
Same argument with Kai Havertz.
And by the way, I don't disagree with you that Mason Mount might be a good player, and he had 2 very good seasons, but only one of them when he had double digits goals and assists, which is the season that you didn't win the Champions League. That was the season after the Champions League. He was great that season. And at that point, I thought that this guy takes really good positions between the lines, between the opposition's midfield, if you want to talk technically, between the opposition's midfield and the defense. And he always arrived in time in the area, and he scored 10 goals in that season, if I'm not mistaken. But he had 1 good season. So for the other season, he was okay. You were, by the way, that season under Lampard, you were scoring tons of goals and you were conceding plenty. And that's when Thomas Tuchel arrived and shut out the defense by playing back 3. I'm getting too technical here. Let me get something straight. Mason Mount is good, but he isn't an elite footballer. If he was elite footballer, other teams would look at him and say, I'm going to get this guy. There's a reason why Kai Havertz was only at Arsenal. Real Madrid, when they saw the price, they walked away. Mason Mount is only at Man United, and even Ten Hag. And I'm sure that Man United are looking at Ten Hag and taking his opinion. I'm sure that when they said 50 plus 5, this is why we value him. And you only came with 10 million more, which shouldn't be a big deal in deals like this. They literally said, this is it for us. That means they value him at this point, at that value. I think your argument about him moving to the right and the center being better than Bruno, I don't think it has legs. And with all due respect, I'm sorry, but I don't think anybody else would see that.
I think it's difficult to try and judge him based on last season. He only played like 20 odd games in the league last season. He only completed 90 minutes 6 times, and he also played under a couple of different managers as well. I wouldn't want to be judging Mount on last season.
But then what does that make him a 120 mil player, though? Like, for everything that you've said, what you're saying is, okay, don't write him off. But to say he's a 120 mil player, like, no clubs are really clamoring for Mount. Like, Man United are interested. They've been trying to do it.
Arsenal wanted him out before Havertz.
Yeah, we want him out, and like. I was a bit I'm one of those sort of players. I'm one of those sort of people with Arsenal where I'm like, we need to get better players, but I love my players too much. So we're getting someone who's much better than what we've already got. I'm like, how are we going to drop that person? Or why are we going to drop that person? You know what I mean? But Mason Mount would walk straight into Arsenal right now. I do genuinely believe it.
Where is he?
As it stands.
No, you mad? Are you mad?
As it stands, yeah. As it stands right this second, Mason Mount. Granit Xhaka looks like he's moving
left
on.
number 8.
So you play him there. Bam.
Can I just say one thing? If you had Granit Xhaka stay at Arsenal, would you be saying the same thing?
No,
man, I love Granit Xhaka. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
but let's say if you don't love Granit Xhaka, if you just look at it the way it is, because Mason Mount's been up and down and all around. And Kai Havertz is one of those players too. Is the reason why Chelsea Football Club are selling both these players. If they were world-class players, if they were quality, they'd be keeping them right now. But they're trying to get rid of dead wood.
The Mount situation is like where this 120 sort of like number was banded around, why everyone's sort of like crying about it. Like, we're basically, I'm sort of with you on Connor on this one, because what I'm saying is, and what I think you're getting at as well, is if he had 5-6 years, he had 5 years left of his contract, so you're making a signing right now. If you're talking, he's only got a year left of his deal, and we're looking at £50 million. If he's got 5 years left, we are going to be looking at 100 mil plus.
No,
if you want to get the player.
Can I just add as well?
Who's going to pay it?
Going on this stream?
Sorry, can I just add? Jude Bellingham now. Look at Jude Bellingham now. Compare Mount, I'd say 3 seasons ago. In that 2021 season, Mount was better than Jude Bellingham like now.
Can't have that one though. I'm sorry. I'll back you.
Mount was definitely better than Jude Bellingham now than he was then. And Jude Bellingham went for what? 140 30.
So you think that Mason Mount,
Premier League as well.
Mason Mount gets to United and Ten Hag gets him back to full confidence into his best form, you think Man United could be picking up for £55 million a better football player and a better midfielder than Jude Bellingham?
Not right
Bit of a
now.
stretch, but-
but the point
In Ten Hag's system, yeah.
if Man United get Mount back to his best, he's
Yeah,
better
that's-
for us than
yeah.
Jude Bellingham will be for Real Madrid.
If you play him at left number 8, well, I think Ten Hag will play. I think Ten Hag will play Bruno and Mount with Casemiro in behind. So I think if you play him at left number 8, I think Mount, he outperforms most of the midfielders in the league.
That is a big take. Viewers, we want your thoughts. We want your feelings. We want your opinions on that in the comment section below right now. We're going to get some Superchats in here.
Sorry.
Mate, do you know what? I'm loving it. Do you know what? I will say this, right? I don't agree with that. I think Jude's better. But do you know what I like about you already, Connor? Is that you say what you think. You're not sitting there going, right, I better say Mount's rubbish, and I better say he's better than nobody because the viewers will all like it. You're speaking your own opinion, and at least, unlike 95% of other people, you're showing your face on camera and you're speaking your mind. I like that. This here says, is that Johnny Minerals in disguise? Mason Mount is average. Man like Mason Mount, X Factor is what Andrew says with a laughing faces here. Oh my God, end this show. The cowboy takes are painful. Come on, Anthony.
Don't listen to him.
They don't
Don't
like
listen
facts.
to
They don't
him.
like facts.
Connor, you're American. I didn't know that.
No, he's not. Can you not tell by his voice? He's as English as
Nice about Cowboy.
he's as English as a steak and kidney pie, bro. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Mount better than Bruno is insane. Laughing my ass off. Is what's said here by Alex. Yeah, they're coming for you a little bit. Hussein here says these takes are stupid. Saying if Mount was world class, Chelsea would keep him. If Gundogan not class because City didn't keep him, he wanted to leave.
I like this guy.
Yeah, I like that. That's agree. That's the truth. They're trying to keep him Chelsea. He just keeps saying no to their deal.
He
So
wants to leave.
he wants out. He doesn't want to be there anymore. In 2021, Mount scored in both the quarter and semi-finals of the Champions League and assisted in the final to win it when he was 22. The next season, he improved. Who else are you naming who can say they did that?
And Terry, that's what I was sort of saying based because the following season was the season we've just seen. He's been out for however many games with an injury. And before that, he played, 24 games or something like that, 23, 24 games, and barely completed 90 minutes. So to judge him based on last season, I think is a little bit tough. If you judge him on the couple of seasons before then, we are talking about a top quality player.
Mm-hmm. Sage here says, I wasn't familiar with your game cons. Great take. Send me the link so I can speak my mind on Mount. We're not taking calls on this show today, but stay in the comments. That'll be for another day. Make sure to like buttons. I want to ask you, you kind of brought it up, Mo. You mentioned Rabiot being a good addition to Man United. He's another player that Man United fans in their droves do not want. Having said that, these are the same people in Man United's Baller FC that said Andreas Pereira was going to be amazing. They said that Jesse Lingard was on Hazard levels a few years ago. These are the same people that said Rashford would be phased out the team this year, that Bruno would be benched. They're the same people that said Anthony Martial would become as good as Prime Kane in this system. They're the same people that said Lisandro Martinez wasn't good enough or tall enough. They're the same people that said Luke Shaw would be sold. So I don't know how much to trust them. Like, they get a lot of things wrong. I don't know what it is, their agendas. But Rabiot, is he really good enough?
Okay, so what do you trust? We speak in facts. Juventus last year, without their point deduction, they get Champions League football. He is, I think, in my opinion, and I think a lot of Serie A fans, I don't watch a lot of Serie A, but I watch the big teams, Juventus, Milan, and he was their player of the season. When you're a player of the season at Juventus, I think that was something. He scored 8 goals, and I said before, and I think he had 6 or 8 assists as well, something in between. And he was the heart of that midfield, to be honest. He's very experienced. We saw him at the World Cup, and he started for France 6 games, and they reached the final. He was good. Everybody watched the World Cup. He was really good at that World Cup in France. So I'm just speaking based on what I saw. Now I can go to 2-3 years ago when his mom made problems with PSG and just say, yeah, he's a problem. But I'm just watching this year, and I'm saying for a free agent at the moment. Tell me a better free agent on the market at the moment at 28 years old that will come from Serie A and I won't ask for 15 million pounds a year. He won't ask for 18 million pounds. What we understand is Man United offer him like what, 10, 12 million pounds? That's less than Jadon Sancho's money. He's a free agent. This is a free player for Man United. I don't know why people just complain because they watched him 4 years ago and said he's good. It's the same people that watch Kai Havertz at Leverkusen and say he's good now. I don't think it's a no-brainer. Man United should finalize this deal today. I've been saying this for 2 days. They should finalize this deal today. There is a reason why Juventus at this moment are still begging him to stay, by the way. They're still negotiating with him to sign a new contract. Now they want him. He's free. He's not going to cost you a penny. And he's an fresh international, guys. He's a good player. Definitely a good player. Come on.
What do you think on that, Dan?
Strong argument.
What are you thinking, Dan? Rabiot to Man United? You think that can move the needle for this team?
Yeah, I completely agree with what Mo said as well. Like at that, if it's a free transfer, it's a no-brainer. And looking next season, Champions League, you're gonna need that squad depth. At the end of the day, and he is a quality player. He's played in big games, and I think you need people like that in and around the team. And he's 28. I do think Man United need a little bit more youth in the side, a little bit more young players in there. But at the same time, I think, it just adds to that strength in depth. I can't see the downside personally to Man United, unless he wants crazy wages and a massive signing on bonus. I don't see the harm. So, like I said, no brainer.
Aussie Gonner, do you think sometimes it's because of 5 years ago, Rabiot was a name that had people buzzing? They were, this guy is going to be serious. Do you think it's because he's become, I don't want to say an unfashionable player, but he's not flavor of the month. He's not in vogue. Do you think that's why certain fans online push back against deals like him? Do you think there's a player in there, or is he just flattered to deceive in his career?
I think there's a player in there. I think the issue that Mo brought up with his mother at PSG really took him out of the market, and that's really stained his career. Now, every single English fan or any Arsenal fan, or any Man United fan, Liverpool fan, they're not gonna forget that, and they're gonna think bad attitude. We don't want that kind of vibe at our club. But if that's all done and dusted, and this guy's attitude is, I want to play football, I want to perform, I want to play, every single game, and I want to do my bit for Manchester United, I don't see why you wouldn't want to get this deal done. Honestly, I mean, for free, Mo makes a very good point here. I can't argue it. The only thing is the attitude, and I'm pretty sure it's his marketability because of that drama at Paris Saint-Germain. It's just stained him a little bit.
Also, that he fired his mom. So he fired his mom. So that argument about his mom being his agent, that's done.
You fired your mom. So that's another
done.
thing.
He fired his mom, and he's serious now. And I know we're going to talk about Caicedo. I think Man United should ditch Mason Mount completely, get Rabiot, and go pay 85 for Caicedo tomorrow. Because the plan was, before Rabiot talk, was Mason Mount for 55 and go find another midfielder for about 30 or something. Now you got a free guy. Instead of buying two midfielders, just buy one and get Rabiot on free. Imagine next year midfield, Casemiro, Rabiot, Eriksen, Caicedo, Bruno Fernandes. I just said enough. For all of this, for only 85 million pounds.
Look, for me as a Man United fan, I like the guy. I think he's good. But maybe I've been caught up in, like I say, in that sort of notion of there was such a buzz about him 4 or 5 years ago, and that's kind of gone away now. But I do trust my manager. I also think we need to add some youth to that, and there's a player obviously linked to Liverpool and Arsenal still in Lavia, and I'd almost like us to, but it's the budget that will stop this. You had a Lavia, a Rabiot, and a Mount. Suddenly you can understand you're coming at it from the future. You're looking at the here and now. You're looking at a bit of versatility when it comes to Mason Mount. That is a really good improvement. What I would say is that you're absolutely bang on. It is a massive jump up from Fred and McTominay. Both of them, if it's just Rabiot and it's Mason Mount. And I think that Man United fans will be pleasantly surprised of the improvement, if you get where I'm coming from. But did he start the World Cup final, Rabiot? He did. I was just checking here. He did. It says, he started here. He did. Like, this man's starting World Cup finals in midfield for France, and look at the abundance of talent they've got. There must be a player in there. There has to be. Like, Deschamps isn't going to pick some numpty that can't play football. So I get where you're coming from there. The other player that's linked with Man United today, but I will state that all the reports in the Netherlands claim that of all the teams, because you've had Arsenal linked to Kudus, United linked to him, Liverpool, Brighton seem to be leading the way, or the new buzzword of 2023 transfer window is they're the most concrete team looking at him at the moment. I'm loving how all the our international counterparts using the word concrete in their sentences now. I've never, honestly, I've not heard many people outside of like people from the south of England talking about that, saying it's concrete, bruv. It's concrete, I promise you. That's how we speak. Suddenly you've got all these international journalists using words like concrete. I love it. But Kudus, do you see him moving to one of the big clubs in the Premier League, a Man United, an Arsenal, or Chelsea? Or do you see a move to a Brighton as a better sort of pathway for his career?
Yeah, I think Brighton definitely, you know, if he wants to come into England and have that, you know, that first step without the overwhelming pressure, I think that could be a really good move for him, especially De Zerbi as the coach. For the other teams like the Man Uniteds and that, if I'm them, I'm thinking Brighton want him. Let's just cut the middleman out, save ourselves some time, and let's get him in now. Like, they might as well. So listen, it's great to see Brighton up there in Europe, you know, trying to crack in and do what they're doing. I hope they get him, but yeah, the other teams might as well go for him now, mate.
Yeah, mate, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's almost
is he gonna go as a right winger for you, Terry? As another left-footed right winger for you.
Well,
is that where he plays though?
No, well, most of the time I see him, he's playing off the striker, right? That's where I've seen him operate the majority of the time in his career. Yeah, that midfield role. And again, if you're signing Mason Mount and you've got Bruno Fernandes, I'm not saying they're better than Kudus. I think Bruno is in that 10 role. I think Bruno is one of the best in the world in that position. I know you'll think Mount. You think Mount's better than Jude Bellingham. Is Mount better than Zinedine Zidane at his peak? What are we saying?
Of course he is. It's worth 120 million.
How far are we going?
Yeah, he's close. He's close.
I just don't see Man United doing this deal. I just think to myself, with the position he plays, his strongest position, with what we're aiming for with Mount and what we've got Bruno, I just don't see the pathway for him. And I know some people say Bruno is awful. Well, we just have to agree to disagree on that. You know, this man's started 70 games for club and country this season. So awful. Yeah, so awful. It is what it is. People are still in their feelings about Bruno after getting it wrong about him for six seasons on the bounce. It's absolutely crazy. They keep getting it wrong every single year. But yeah, I don't see us doing it personally. That's just my view. I don't know if Brighton will pull it off, but it'll be a massive sign. I mean, Brighton, you would never have guessed 5 years ago Brighton are going to start taking players off of Ajax.
Yeah, I think Brighton do get him. I don't know where they'll play him. I think once they sell Casado, I think they'll pay the money to Ajax. I think they might go like a 3-man midfield. Kudus. They've got Billy Gilmore as well. I don't know who else they play in that midfield, but I reckon Kudus, Gilmore.
It would have been McAllister,
I just
wouldn't
checked.
it?
This is why I was saying right winger. Yes, he started the season. I just checked. He started the season as center forward, attacking mid. Towards the last 14 games at Ajax, he started as a right winger. This is why when I watched some of the games at the end, when the league got heated up, the Eredivisie, he was playing right winger. So maybe you're looking at him as a backup for Anthony at that time because of Jadon Sancho or something. Because that makes sense. 14 games as a right winger, I think that makes him as a right winger. He made that position his in the last 14 games. You guys disagree with that?
Oh, well, listen, I want Jadon Sancho to be moved on at the right money. I don't think he's good enough.
I'd take Sancho.
Judging by your talent idea, I'm not surprised.
Sancho for Mount. Sancho for
No, I think Mahalo Mudryk is a player in there, to be fair. But yeah, like, I want Sancho out of Manchester United. I think there's so much talent in him, but I think he's come to the club. He's been burnt. I just don't see him. I don't see him getting to his Dortmund levels at my club. I just don't see it happening. And if we can pick up 45 million for him and go out and sign, look, if what you're saying is true, Mo, and he can be converted and be brilliant on that right-hand side, challenging Anthony, you can pick him up at a good price. I'm personally not going to say no to that, but
he had 6 goals and 4 assists as a right winger in the last 13, 14 games when he played right winger. I'm just looking at
think
the
he
stats, to be
Would
honest.
you accept a
I am
loan
not
deal,
watching the
Terry?
guy, guys.
Sorry?
If we loaned it, like West Ham, say it was to come in like a Lingard thing and loan with a view to buy, right? West Ham. So this season with a view to 45 mil next season, if he would even accept to come to it, and unless he still sees himself as a Champions League player, unless he wants to take that step down and challenge. But I see a lot of West Ham fans are talking like 45 mil, we should go slap that down and try it. But
Bro,
the problem is he'll have to take a wage cut.
Yeah. Do you know what I'd say is this, right? And I'm saying this to West Ham, and I mean it with respect. I don't sort of view you as a threat to Man United. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. And I cheered for you when you guys won the European Cup. I loved it. It was brilliant. It was very humbling to see. So for me, I don't really want him to go to another English club. But if he was to go to a West Ham or a team of your size, Conference League, I'd actually be really happy for him. Does that make sense? Yeah. Tottenham, again, I wouldn't really mind Tottenham too much either, because I don't worry about what they're going to do to us. I wouldn't want him going to a Chelsea or an Arsenal. And I've seen a lot of Chelsea fans in the last week celebrating, putting the bunting out, having parties over Kai Havertz and Mason Mount leaving. The football gods bite you in the arse when you do that when they're going to rivals. Does that make sense?
So Havertz is terrible, Terry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know you're saying that, but don't tempt the football gods with too much. Like, be humble with it. Do you know what I'm saying? And just gracious with it. So yeah, look, listen, I think that'd be a good move for West Ham. Would you say a year loan? Maybe in the year loan you pay his full wages or whatever it may be, with an option to buy at the end of it. And I think an option to buy will be smart for both, because if he really delivers and is amazing, we might go right. We'll have him back. But if we go, he's been really good for you, but he still hasn't. We've improved and moved on. You guys get that first refusal at that set price. Maybe a deal like that would work out for both clubs, you know, because I'd like to see him play. He'd play regularly at your club. He'd got that European football. We saw Jesse Lingard go there and be brilliant, and maybe he could do the same thing and reinvent himself. So, yeah, maybe a deal like that would work. And at least then Man United have got a foul safe where we go, right, if we have made a mistake by letting him go, we can have him back. But if not, and he wants to be a West Ham player and you guys want him, he should get it done. But I know he wants to be in the Champions League, and he might have Champions League clubs looking at him, but he'll play all the games for West Ham when he's fit. He'll be one of the main guys at the club. I think he could do well. I think he could do well at you.
Wait, who do West Ham
play?
play?
So a team like Newcastle should go for him. How would you feel about that, Terry? Like, because
that's like a rival in terms of Champions League.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, because they, you know, like I've been, you know, I spoke to Kendall, watched a couple of different streams and stuff, and like how Newcastle have sort of being looked at for next season. Some people are saying they're not even going to get anywhere close to challenging for top four. Some are saying, you know, with this person, that person, they could get top four. So do you see them as a direct challenge, and would you be okay with Sancho going there and not necessarily tearing it up, but looking a bit more comfortable?
You're strengthening them.
I want no dealings with Newcastle in that way, because Newcastle are a threat. They're part of the top six now. We all know what the concept of the top six show is, the top six channel is. Not just about are you in the top six, it's the challenge to be in it. And Newcastle are in it with the muscle they've got, the financials, the owners, the direction they're going in. You can't be strengthening rivals unless they're willing to pay crazy money. So if they come in and say, there's all your money back for him, 70, 80 million, and we can use that to go and get Harry Kane, we've already got 80 million put aside for him. They want to pay crazy money. It means we can get Harry Kane. Maybe. But even then, you're still giving them the potential to make themselves much better. So I wouldn't ideally want to do it. But if you can't sell him elsewhere and they offer more money and you can go and get a player that takes you to another level, then I would look at it. I don't think you can have a blanket no, but you've got to be careful with how much you're getting. You can get 45 million from West Ham, and Newcastle want to give you 45 million. As long as a player is willing to go to West Ham, send him to West Ham every single day. You know, and I mean that with all due respect to the Hammers. That's what I would do personally.
Yeah, Terry, do you think Maguire strengthens Newcastle? Do you think he's better than Fabian Schär?
Look, I think Maguire is a lot better than his last 18 months at Man United dictates. I actually think Maguire would be also amazing at West Ham. I think he would be perfect anywhere where he's protected slightly, because they're not an out-and-out attacking team with a crazy high line. I think with Newcastle, though, their style of football is going to keep evolving season after season after season. They're going to become more and more attacking, more and more open. The defenders are going to be exposed more. You remember the early days of Man Cty, when they started getting towards Champions League football. Richard Dunn was there the first few years of the big takeover. But as their football got better and they expanded more, the players they inherited, the Dunns and the Stephen Islands, etc., they started to slowly become exposed, especially as a defender. When you have to do one-on-one defending regularly, when you're left with 50 yards of space behind you, Maguire's not good enough at that. But I think, an Everton or a West Ham, depending on who the manager is and the style of football, I think he could do a phenomenal job. I really do. But look, again, if West Ham want him, if Newcastle wanted him, he's a player I would sell to them, because I don't think over the course of time he'd do much well. I don't think he'd do that well for them. So it might weaken them. So yes, please give me £50 million to weaken your team. That'd be great. But
it's not against Terry. Just every player, when they don't reach a top 6 caliber, it's like, yeah, West Ham can have him. West Ham.
No, we are heavy. Moyes wants him.
West Ham just
I kept my mouth shut.
The point is, though,
I kept my mouth shut. I'm like,
the point is, though, I wouldn't have said West Ham if Moyes weren't the manager, because of Moyes' style of football. I think it would work out great. I wouldn't recommend Maguire to Brighton. They're too open. He'd get cooked. So for me, it's just about like the right move. We're talking about Maguire.
Look at Craig Dawson.
This one as well. Here's going to West Ham.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. Moving on from Man United, I want to ask a little bit about Chelsea here. 2 big reports from Italy today that they are looking to sign Magic Mike and Victor Osimhen, which those 2 signings could help transform any team in the world. You'd have one of the best shot-stopping and ball-playing goalkeepers in European football, and one of the most deadliest bagsmen in world football. You add that to this Chelsea team that's full of great quality and great youth, with great expectations this year with Poch. How would you feel about that, Connor?
I think, starting with Maignan, I think if he came to Chelsea, I think he becomes the 2nd best goalkeeper in the league, behind Alisson. Maybe some people put Ederson above him. Mo, would you agree that Maignan better than Ederson? Because you've obviously watched him a lot more.
of Alisson or Ederson?
Ederson. 2nd in the league.
Yeah, he's good with his feet, and his shot stopping is elite. Yes, he is overall better than Ederson for me as a goalkeeper. Yes.
Yeah. So if we take that into account,
as well.
I think if we got Maignan, we've obviously got Kepa in goal, so anything's an upgrade on Kepa. Even Mendy would have been an upgrade, and we just got rid of him for 15 million or something to Saudi. So Maignan, huge upgrade, especially with the centre backs we're going to have. I think that's a very good triangle of. I think we're going to play Colwill, Fofana, and Maignan if we do get Maignan, and then obviously Victor Osimhen. I don't know how to feel about Osimhen. I feel like against low blocks, maybe he could be exposed. Like if we played against, I don't know, Everton or something. I don't know. I just don't see. Yeah. I just don't see him performing to that highest level.
I am kind of puzzled. Exactly, Lawless. I'm kind of puzzled. 2 weeks ago, Chelsea were priced out of Onana's deal. Priced out. And now they are in for Maignan, who is more expensive in Italy. They value him more than Onana. It's very strange situation. However, the links are real because Gazzetta dello Sport reported it. So the links are real. That actually Chelsea are talking to Milan to see what the price is. So I don't get that. I don't get why would you go for the more expensive goalkeeper.
No, I think
both of them are very good, but I think Onana, maybe I'm biased. I think Onana is better with his feet, way better with his feet. But again, why would you go for the more? They're valuing him at least at 70 to 80 million euros. That's 20 more than the value of Onana based on the both clubs' valuation. I don't get that deal, and I don't know how Chelsea are going to go and pay that much money for Maignan, even though he improves your team massively. But again, you would have spent 140 million on 2 goalkeepers in 3 years. Is that what it is Chelsea are doing now?
Yeah, it would be that. Yeah, Mo, what I'd say about Onana, I think he's probably rejected Chelsea. I think that's what's happened. I think he's probably seen interest from United, and he probably prefers Ten Hag because he's obviously worked with Ten Hag before, and he's probably having, there's uncertainty around, Pochettino, Chelsea, everything. So he's probably seen United's interest and favoured United. So that's probably why we pulled out. But the club would say, we pulled out, it's too expensive. But we know that's not true because we're going for Maignan. So Yeah, I think Onana's rejected us. I think that's why we've pulled out of that one.
Yeah, there is a new deal for Chelsea, which is Lukaku to Inter for a loan with an obligation to buy for 30 million next year, and exchange with Onana. That's also on the table for Chelsea, which is just surfaced today. Inter are considering it because Lukaku's loan price is 8 million a year, 8 million euros a year. So that means the buy option, it's not going to be an option, it's going to be an obligation to buy for 22 million euros next year. I don't think Inter should do it because he's going to be 31. He's going to ask for a contract that is 4 years. That means this guy, Lukaku, ends his contract at 35 years old, earning that much money. But that's a card that Chelsea can play, the Lukaku card. It's a card that Chelsea can play. Also, the Azpilicueta card, because Azpilicueta has a year left on his contract. Inter want him for free. So Chelsea has to terminate his contract so Inter can get him for free. These are the cards that Chelsea can play. Maignan is going to be straight cash. Give us the money so we can sort out our team because they just sold Tonali. I see Onana as a better goalkeeper. I see Onana probably going to Chelsea makes more sense because of the Lukaku and the Azpilicueta deal. But Man United are in for him. But Chelsea getting Maignan, massive improvement on Kepa and Mendy. Massive improvement.
Maignan just so imposing, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
I personally would have Maignan over Onana, only very slightly. I think I'm with you, Mo, in terms of ball playing and like passing distribution. Like Onana's passing is phenomenal. It's like a defensive midfielder almost, like just spraying balls around. But I want someone who's able to command their box. I want someone who's able to make the goal look small and talk to the back to the defense, because Chelsea over the last couple of years defensively have been struggling. You know, they do ship a lot of goals. There's been lots of changes, we know that, but I feel like Maignan could come in and steady the ship. I think he's a top quality goalkeeper, and I think if he was to come to the Premier League, he would be the second in behind Alisson. But it's just the options that were available to you. And the thing is, Chelsea don't necessarily have to worry about spending money as such right now, because they're getting players off the books. They've sold a few players on now. You know, like if the Havertz deal does go through, which pretty much looks like it's done, they're 65. There's a couple of players that have gone off to Saudi already. Kovacic has gone to City for 25 mil as well. So in terms of balancing the books for FFP, they're in a good position. If they do need to splash out on someone, they can.
Mount's going to happen. Mount will happen for that 50 to 60, between 50 and 60 million. That's going to happen. So Chelsea are going to raise 250 odd million pound this year, plus the tens of millions in wages, which is a bigger focus for clubs often than the fees themselves. So yeah, I don't
as far as I understand, Chelsea, if they close June with less than 60 million losses, this year is done for them in FFP. You're allowed 3 years with 60 million losses. So if they sell the players before June and they get the money and they have less than 60, they can go and spend as much as they want from July and fix it later. That's a new year. This is why I think the Caicedo deal is still on hold. I think even the Maignan, the Osimhen. But I don't think that Chelsea will sign 3 marquee players. This is my personal opinion, not based on information. I think it might be 2 marquee signing, which is going to be a midfielder, which is most likely, as we all know, it's going to be Caicedo, and one of a striker, which is going to be in the caliber of an Osimhen or maybe even Colomwani. But we need to put in mind that they signed Jackson and also a goalkeeper. So it's either going to be a midfielder and a striker or a midfielder and a goalkeeper. I think this is why today it surfaced that Pochettino is happy to start at the beginning of the season with Kepa. So maybe he's preparing the people that, we can wait until January until we do the shopping for the goalkeeper and we are content with what we have. Maybe that's why this surfaced today about I'm happy with Kepa starting the season. Maybe that's why.
Some breaking news on Chelsea, just as you guys were all talking. This has come from Scott Saunders and Graham Bailey. Chelsea have dropped their asking price on Mason Mount from 65 million, and they are now prepared to accept the number, by the way, that both Dean Jones and Ben Jacobs said that Mason Mount would go for 4 weeks ago on the football terrace, 60 million pounds. Chelsea have now caved, and they've bowed down to what Man United said in the beginning. 60 maximum will get the deal done. And just crazy about it. 4 weeks of negotiating and bidding just to meet in the goddamn middle. Just do it like I get the process, but my word. So yeah, that should be another 60 million pounds. It's probably going to be anywhere between 50 and 55 plus add-ons for that. But again, depending on what those add-ons are, you can accumulate most of that. Yeah, I did say that would happen. I've been saying for weeks it'll be around 60 million again, and I've said in all my videos, not because I'm in the know, but because I listen to a lot of
it makes sense, Terry, as well, because that's logic.
Well, it is logic. It's logic. Plus, if you actually, I say to a lot of people, stop. Twitter's great for seeing a headline, but then go and read the articles, and you learn. Sometimes I sit there and I talk about a transfer deal, and people, how do you know this? I read the fucking article, you moron. You just read Twitter, didn't you? And it blows my brain. The other day, I quoted something that Ornstein said in his article, and some Arsenal fan, bless him, he's blocked me now. I think he got so embarrassed. I don't know. I think his dad tried to put him back in his balls, type thing. Like, how can I get you back inside me? I've wasted myself on you. He said, Terry, I've read through all of Ornstein's tweets. You've made it up. He didn't tweet that. I'm like, oh my God, this guy don't read his articles. I'm like, it's shocking to me. But yes, I'm not in the know. I just listened to the people that knew what was going on. But there we go. But yes, 60 million for Mason Money Mount. I like it.
Hold on. Do you think Man United are actually going to add that extra?
Did I swear, by the way, Aussie Gonner?
Yeah,
did I swear? I swore. Sorry.
Do you think Man United are going to add that extra 5 million? Terry, do you think you're going to add that extra 5 million?
They'll spend that. Come on.
It's done. Because that's I tweeted that.
They're all the way there.
I was actually looking at that and I said exactly the player wants to go, someone wants to sell, someone wants to buy. There's a 10 million difference. What do? You just meet in the middle.
The thing is, it's just yes.
All parties agree.
Man United briefed the media 4 weeks ago saying they want him, but they are not prepared to go above 60. That's it. So this is where it ends. And Chelsea already knew that. Now, Chelsea were asking for 75, 80. But Man United kind of knew they were willing to go as low as 60. And that's all that's ended up happening. They both met in the middle. So, yeah, I'm not too worried about it. And a lot of it, Terry's happy about the deal. So I'm getting a lot of stick for wanting Mason Mount. It isn't about wanting him. It's about trusting my manager. And I know I've seen a lot of people on Twitter recently. Oh, my God, you got such, bad ball knowledge if you, say, I'm going to back a player because my manager backs him. Think for yourself. I've got a better brain than you. I can do multi-layered thinking. I have my own opinion that I still think that Mason Mount's an average player. But I also trust my manager, and I'm willing to be objective in the scenario and wait to see the proof in the pudding before I get my bum crack out on camera and plant my cheeks and start showing my backside off. Just, you can do those two things at the same time. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. Terry, you've been in the no. Sorry, Terry, you've been in the no. Be in the yes. You are in the no. Be in the yes. Oh, okay, I get it now. So I didn't get it first, but I get it now. Thank you, bro. Thank you. My favorite Mario T here, whose name definitely isn't Mario. It's too cool to write a comment like this. Says Waffler Terry, guesswork merchant, goes with the wind. Yeah. Probably, yeah. I go with the trending stories and the credible journalists. That's absolutely what I do. Imagine sitting there going,
lucky. Right. Put a bet on it. You've been getting lucky. You might as well put a bet on it, mate.
Imagine it goes on. Imagine me like, right, this is what the best journalists in the world have said. I'm going to predict the opposite way, so I look edgy and cool. That's why you're part of the NV. Mario's part of the NVC. That's what people in the NVC do, and that's what we know. NVC merchants everywhere tonight. But there we go. Some super chats here. Let's get through these super chats here. First one says, Aspie to Intermo. Is Chelsea's team possibly too young? Silva, Chilwell, James spend more time in rehab than on the pitch. Who leads them?
Aspilicueta is old. Inter now are a retirement home. We're selling our players. We're not here to talk about Serie A, but Inter are Serie A. All of them were in shambles. We're in shambolic situation financially. So it's a retirement home. Give us your dead wood and we'll take them. We'll revive them and we'll make them reach a Champions League final somehow with a way. But Chelsea backline, I don't think they are equipped. And this is related to this super chat. I know we don't want to dwell on it. I am not sure if a Chelsea backline are equipped to play in a back four, because I see Thiago Silva at 39 years old, and when he played in a back four, it is kind of like a strange. It looked strange. He's just off the pace. He's not as quick as before. Brilliant player. Predictions, but Chelsea under Pochettino will play progressive football more than Thomas Tuchel, so he will need to defend one-on-one. At 39 years old, I don't see it. Fofana was injured, and when he played, he wasn't great in a back three. Maybe he will fit. Badiashile looks like a bright player, absolutely phenomenal player, and Colwell coming from Brighton, great season with Brighton. But I don't see Fofana and what's his name, Silva playing in a back four. Not yet. I don't know about that, but it looks like this is the way they go. And also, Chilwell in a back four and a left back, kind of weak defensively, in my opinion, to play in a back four. They need a really good defensive midfielders in front of them to defend. That's what I think.
Yeah, very interesting to see what happens there. Thank you for that super chat from O'Malley. Dele Alli was world class in 2018. Doesn't mean he's worth 120 million. The same for Mount. And 2021, if you put Bruno in that Chelsea team, they definitely win the Champions League as well, is what's been claimed there.
We wouldn't even reach the flipping quarterfinals with Bruno. I'll be real. Put Bruno in Mount's role in that right wing. He does nothing, bro.
On the right wing, yeah.
On the right wing. On the right wing.
On the right wing, yeah. On the right wing.
Did he play right wing in that Champions League final?
Yeah, because we played 3-5-2. We played a double pivot. We played 3-4-3, sorry. We played double pivot and then 3 at the forward line. And he played like right or left. Because it was either Timo Werner at left, Havertz strike, and then Mount right.
I don't remember the game that vividly. I just remember him being on the left-hand side for the pass. That's why I wondered if he was playing the right-hand side. But there we go. Mount is overrated by most of this panel and massively overrated by one. There's a legit happy medium. Also, not a bad take. Him better than Bruno is what D Rush says here. Why is everyone ignoring the context of Chelsea's chaos? A mess in with no one can really be expected to perform. Hence why there's a total reset, is what Baghdadi has got to say here. Rabiot or Tielemans on a free? I'd go with Rabiot. Rabiot's got a little bit too much like flubber for me. Too much of a dad bod for me to invest that money in him. On behalf of Chelsea fans, we don't claim this guy, is what Ike says to you there, Cons. And this here says, how much is Osimhen worth, Connor? Like, yeah, you linked to him as well. How much would you pay for Victor Osimhen if you could get him? What would you be willing to spend on a player of his ilk?
If Mason Mount is 100 million, just
120.
No, Mason Mount's 120 million.
So yeah,
How
mate, I
many
have to
years has
correct.
Osimhen got left
You're
on his contract?
2 years.
I'd say maximum for Osimhen is like 100, 120 to 100 to 120 for Osimhen. I wouldn't pay more than that. Because if you compare him to Kylian Mbappe, we'll go for what, 180 to 200. And if Napoli is saying Osimhen's worth 150, no way. Any club would rather put the extra 50 to Mbappe. I get the wages, but come on.
You get the but that's part of the deal. Kylian Mbappe makes $1 million a week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but any club.
But he's also marketable. But he's very marketable.
Yeah,
exactly.
I get what you're saying, but look, I'm not comparing Kylian Mbappe to Osimhen. But when you score 26 goals and you're one of the most lethal strikers in the market now, and looking at midfielders going for 90 to 100, I think Napoli are entitled to at least ask for like more money than a midfielder going. And he has a big fan base in Africa as well, so I think he's marketable as well. Victor Osimhen goes to Chelsea. These sell jerseys in Africa just like this. They make the money back in a heartbeat. These guys, look at Drogba when he was at Chelsea. Come on,
I'd rather just persist with Jackson for a season.
Well.
I'd rather just persist with Nicholas Jackson for a season and then go next summer for a striker than spend 150 on Osimhen.
But you think Jackson will solve Chelsea's problems? You actually didn't struggle last year with defense, right? You really just struggled with scoring. You were very good defensively most of the season. You didn't leak goals, even with Kepa and Mendy, by the way. Put that in mind. Mm-hmm. But you didn't score goals. You really struggled.
We've got, so on our wingers, we've got Sterling, Mudryk, Madueke. With a better manager, I think 2 out of 3 of those can do a lot better. Because Sterling got, what, 4 Premier League goals? I think with Poch, with his recent history at Man City, I think he can get over
8.
10. I think he can get 10 Premier League goals.
If your striker scores
Mudrik's
5 and your
hopeless.
winger
Mudryk-
score 8, you're in a big trouble, my man.
Mudryk is hopeless, so
You're
discard
in big
Mudryk.
trouble.
I've got to
Mudryk.
remember Nkunku's there as well.
Yeah, Nkunku
Exactly.
as well.
So
I think
that's what I
Nkunku
wanted
gets
to
12.
ask. Is Nkunku coming as a striker? Because I've been
No.
told he isn't. They're saying he's an attacking midfielder behind the striker.
Yeah.
I've been told many people say many things, but anyway, like if you go with Nkunku and Jackson, you're assuming that Nkunku is your starting striker because Jackson is young. He's coming from the La Liga. Are you putting all your eggs in that basket? I doubt that.
I'd rather go for that for one season than spend 100 on Osimhen, or 150, sorry, and then look next season for a striker. I'd rather just try Jackson because realistically, this season, what does everyone expect like from Chelsea? Like,
Challenge for the title if you spend that much money.
What this season?
Yeah, if you spend that much
Got
money,
to.
challenge for the title. Come on.
Look at the last time they
Let's
finished
be
outside.
realistic.
You'd have to.
That 12th place does not reflect the Chelsea squad. You spent a lot of money. You put a lot of effort
100
into
of
the
that
squad.
was on Mudryk, and he's useless.
And 100 of that was on
you spend
Enzo
it,
and Badiashile. And
Aussie Gonner, when you look at Chelsea
Yeah.
next year, if they bring in like Magic Mike in goal, Osimhen comes in, Caicedo to play next to Enzo. As a rival looking at them, what do you expect? What do you feel should be the expectation against Chelsea next year?
The expectation for Chelsea next year, if they're going to bring names in like that, and that's horses for courses. Because I was gonna make a point. I think Chelsea have gone away from the let's try and fit players in. I think they're looking to get players to fit in as specialists. I don't think they're going to try and wing it and throw anyone in as a striker. I don't think they can afford that with the previous season. If they come in that hard, we've got to be speaking about Chelsea competing for the Premier League title and fighting for a top 3 finish, at least a top 3 finish. But challenging City all the way because of the kind of money they've spent, the new management that's come in, the business they're doing now is wonderful. Any Chelsea fan right now is looking and saying this is good business, but they got to continue in fashion. And if they were to get someone like Victor, in my opinion, because I think if they were to get Victor, everyone's in trouble. Because to be perfectly honest, Chelsea have needed a decent striker for a while, and I understand that there was a discussion as well about him maybe struggling in a low block, much like every striker. Every striker is going to struggle in a low block. I'm worried about Chelsea coming in and doing this now. If they were to come in, Caicedo, any one of the 2 goalkeepers, it doesn't even matter because they're both levels up. You know what I mean, Kepa, and they get Victor. I think it puts everyone on notice. Everybody's going to be looking and going, "Oh, here we go again. Here we go again." It'll be like the Roman era almost.
So you think we win the title next season or challenge?
I say you have to challenge for the title next season if you make those 3 signings. If you don't make those 3 signings, then if you don't make signings of that quality, if you don't make those 3 signings, of course you can't. But I don't see Chelsea going throughout the transfer window, not getting a Caicedo or a goalkeeper, or if they're going to be linked to Victor, it's not going to be a muckabout. It looks like Chelsea right now are not holding back. They're making moves, and if a player's interested, they're making serious moves. I think it's let's get players off the books. Once we get players off the books, let's get our players in. It's a no-nonsense approach, man.
Yeah. Victor Osimhen, guys, scored 26 goals in the most progressive team in Europe probably last year throughout the whole season, which is Napoli. They have more than 60-something% position in Serie A. Even we saw them when they play in the Champions League. They are not a team that sits back. And this guy scored 26 goals in a team that has most of the position. So he definitely can play against low blocks. He can run behind the defenses. I think he can do it all. This is from what I've seen last year. He can do everything. He can connect the play. He can drop to the sides and let the other guys go to the middle. I think he's really, really good, Victor Osimhen. He's an amazing striker, to be honest.
Is it because he's coming from Italy? People are sort of doubting him?
Yes, can he do it in the Prem?
I think it is.
Yeah, and people are making out like Italy's like the league from the 90s. It's not that way anymore. It's not Farmersy anymore, and there's a lot more teams that are playing much more progressive stuff. And I think that started off mainly with probably Atalanta, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, that brought that sort of excitement. And other teams in Italy, like, well, we've got better players than Atalanta, but they're playing a really attractive brand. Why don't we do it as well? And I feel like the attractiveness is starting to come back. That excitement is coming back from Serie A. But for me, I think Chelsea need to challenge for the league next season. And if you remember last time, Chelsea were in this situation where they didn't have any European football. They had a dross season. The 15-16 season when they ended 10th or whatever it was.
Yes.
The following season, a little bit of tinker, and then they went on and won the league. And I'm not saying that they're going to win the league this year, but if they finish outside the top 4 this year, it's another failure for Chelsea. I don't think the fans are going to allow that to happen. But I just wanted to just say to it quickly on the striker situation. Chelsea, if you take away Drogba and Diego Costa, the last decent striker who was consistent and bagging was Hasselbank. It's a Chelsea thing.
Franco Zola.
Like, look how much talent that they've had in the last 20, 25 years, and they've not been able to turn it on.
Yeah, look, it's a massive season for Chelsea next year, and the expectations have always got to be big for all of our teams. And I don't think anyone's expecting them to go and win the league, but at least make it in the top 10. At least get it back into that top 10 next year. You know, but
Oh no.
we have some I was going to come to Declan Rice, but we have some breaking news that I want to get an instant reaction to. This is coming from a very credible source, I'm told, based in Barcelona, that Barcelona urgently need to sell players, and Frenkie De Jong's departure cannot be ruled out, especially if a big offer arrives. Now, of course, Man United pursued him last year and could not get that deal done. There is still conjecture and challenge around, was it a outright desire to stay at the club, or were there 17 million other reasons for him to stay? And I kind of believe there's a bit of both in that. I'm a Man United fan. Listen, let's drop the Mason Mount thing now and go and get De Jong if this is available. You say, sorry, money, Mace. You damage Chelsea's FFP and you go and get him. But
didn't he reject you though, Frenkie De Jong? Wouldn't you? Doesn't that feel a certain way? You know what? He didn't want to play for Man United. Turned us down.
Yeah, he rejected like 15 times. Didn't he?
Di Maria vibes.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not surprised he rejected us last year. It was the beginning of a brand new project. We weren't in the Champions League, but Barca obviously went on to win the league. You knew where they were at. They were in the Champions League. They owed him 17 million euros, which he didn't want to lose out on as well. But we're in a different space. I don't really take it personally. These are professional people making professional decisions in terms of their career. I'm not stating Man United are even the favourites. I'm just pointing out that I look at all of our clubs here, barring Inter, because you, man, ain't got the piece for this. But we look at all the players we're looking at right now. Arsenal, of course, want Declan Rice. There's Caicedo links to Chelsea. Man United want Mount and are looking at Caicedo. But if Frenkie De Jong is available, surely all of our teams should be looking at how it's, especially if we're in the Champions League and Barca have to sell. You know, he's already had at least half of his deferred money back now because they're paying it over a 2-year period. Surely we've got to be looking at him.
If Ten Hag is still got that fire, you know, burning for De Jong, you know, and he still thinks that he's the main man, then yeah, obviously you're going to go for him, and then it's a no-brainer. Obviously, he saw something in him last season, the way you pursued him that hard. So that's his boy. I think if that's his first choice and it is available, yeah, go all out, drop Mace. And then it's going to be interesting to see what the price is going to be as well, the value, because if they have to sell, they're in a weaker position. So you look at the value between Mount and Frenkie De Jong, could be better value in there as well.
Frenkie De Jong isn't as young as people make him be. He's 26, fantastic player. Every time I'm watching the guy, he's gliding through people, connecting the defense to the forward. I think Frenkie De Jong is exactly what Man United need now, next to Bruno and Casemiro. They get Frenkie De Jong, I think that elevates their midfield like 3-4 points out of 10. But is he going to be cheap? I don't know. If Man United didn't want to go higher than 60, are they going to go higher for Frenkie De Jong? That's what I want to know.
Again, read the Man United articles.
I'm sitting here. I can't read that.
No, I don't mean that right now. I mean in general. Man United. I've seen a lot of Chelsea fans online. You know, we were linked to Caicedo. Their logic has been, well, if you don't want to pay, if you haven't got more than 60 for Mount, how can you afford 80 million for Caicedo? It means you're either not reading or you're ignoring. Man United are not willing to pay more than 60 for Mason Mount. Man United look at Caicedo and look at other players and think they're younger, the longer length in their contract, potentially higher ceilings. The reason I don't think we're going for players like that right now, in my personal feeling, is United are waiting for this takeover to complete and for the sale of players before they to raise money for those more expensive guys. United were looking, and this was spoken about again by the this. I can't believe for 4 weeks this has been ignored by rivals and ignored by other media outlets. It was always said that United are looking to bring 2 of their targets in before pre-season at between sort of 40 to 50 million each on average, so around 80 to 90 million pounds being spent in totality. And then later on in the summer, that was when they'd be moving for their potentially more expensive signings, as it were. Part of that is because they've got to sell first and the takeover isn't done yet. So let's see what happens with Frenkie De Jong. The money could become available a little bit later on down the line. However, they may decide, you know what, let's get Frenkie now and we'll go for that second option, i.e. the goalkeeper a little bit later as well. Things can change. The point is, if someone isn't available or doesn't want us at this point, so that Caicedo's got his heart set on Chelsea, there's no point us throwing all our eggs into that basket if we can't get him. However, if we don't buy Mount, Chelsea didn't have the FFP flexibility to go and buy Caicedo, so that can change things. So, and that was all a bit of posturing at the weekend anyway. So I'm not going to get my hopes up about De Jong right now. I'm just putting it out there. I think probably barring Arsenal right now that have got all their eggs in that Rice basket, I think everybody should be looking at him if he's available. Like 110% have to be looking at him.
Wait,
the guy's
what's United's like budget right now?
Publicly,
It's a
they're
mystery.
they're saying 100 million, but they said that the last 2 summers and we spent 200 plus. So what is it? I don't know.
Can I say a little bit about this guy, Frenkie De Jong? I think one of the clubs, he would suit all the clubs. I think he would elevate everybody. But the one club that I see him fit perfectly like a glove is Man City next to
yeah.
It's kind of strange
I don't
that
wanna
he's coming
say
from Xavi. Xavi's school this year. They tried to play the tiki-taka, but also they were very tactically this year. I've never seen Barca defend for 90 minutes, and they did it this year against Real Madrid. So he's kind of like improved under Xavi. And if he goes to play under Pep Guardiola next to Rodri, again, I'm going to say, God help us all. This guy is something that is, it's going to like, even if we saw this Man City right here, he takes him to a whole new level in that mid, because he can play in Gundogan's spot or he can play next to Rodri as a midfielder. I think Pep Guardiola might look at him and say, forget Declan Rice, forget everybody. We're just going to go get this guy to put him in the midfield where he plays Barcelona style, tiki-taka style, like the old Barca style. He's a fantastic player, but I think he fits way more than anybody as Man City, to be honest.
At least it opens the door for us to get Rice.
Yeah, it'll be good moves. It'll be great moves. But
accept the offer.
but these guys get De Jong, and just like Mo said, we might as well not even show up for the Premier League. Eh? It's like Man City are going to come in and say who's coming in second. That's it. Who's coming in second? Just you guys figure it out.
Terry, are you taking De Jong over Rice?
Yes. Because we've got Casemiro, who I still think's got, even though you got more longevity with Rice, because we've got Casemiro that I think gives us another 2 or 3 years at the level he's at now. I don't buy into this project thing where you've got to like. I had a Gunner last summer, a nice guy though, was saying like you shouldn't be buying people at 30 years of age because in 2 or 3 years you've got to replace them again. I'm like, bro, this isn't about build a team that can start winning trophies in 3 years, 4 years. We've got to win while we're growing. It's a continuous motion. So yeah, look, I think if I had the choice between the two, I'd pick De Jong. If it was between Caicedo and Rice, I'd pick Rice. I think Caicedo, the only reason Caicedo comes third place in terms of that pecking order is he just had less game time than the other two, less experience than the other two. Again, Lavia or Caicedo, I'm going Caicedo and then Lavia last of the top 4 midfield targets I have. And it's purely based on quality, but also experience. Like you put those things together. Speaking of Rice, there's been a big update. Big update on Rice. Make sure like buttons are being hit. Make sure you're subscribing. This comes exclusively from the ex-West Ham employee. My tweet's got a link to his account, so go check him out. Go follow his Patreon. Brilliant. He says here that Arsenal's third bid for Rice is expected to come within the next 24 hours. Arsenal's bid will be around the 100 million mark that West Ham want. He says Man City are still there and could bid even more than Arsenal. That is what's being rumored through him. And West Ham to reject Arsenal and accept City is a possibility. We know that the preference Rice has is Arsenal. But of course, if City outbid Arsenal and their bid don't get accepted, Rice's preference becomes almost null and void because Rice does want to leave West Ham this summer. And I think every West Ham fan and he's worth his salt knows that that's going to happen. But I want to go to Dan Lawless on this first. You're a West Ham fan. You're seeing this unfold in front of you. There must be a bit of a sort of a bittersweet feeling when this is going on. What's the acceptable amount of money in the West Ham fan base, and where do you think he's going to go, mate?
Yeah, it's mad at this point. Shout out to X. Funny thing is, he just had to put a tweet out because loads of Arsenal accounts been taking it, twisting it to look more positive in their favor and misquoting him massively, which happens. But yeah, it's to me. Note this: these next bids have not come in. And the third Arsenal bid, the first Man City bid. If that is true, I've always maintained it'll go to the highest bidder. We want a large portion of the money up front. That's why when Arsenal came with the absolute joke of a bid, oh yeah, we'll pay you 80 million over 6 years. Like we rejected that quick time. So I feel like 100. If we was to get offered 100 million with the majority of it paid up front, that's probably something we can look at and go, do you know what? Yeah, we're happy with that. We can go and invest most of that straight back this season. None of these ridiculous add-ons that Arsenal are putting in. Oh, if we win the Champions League, we'll give you an extra 10 million. You've never won the Champions League in how many years it's been going?
Never.
You want to give us 10 million?
Never.
Exactly. Ridiculous. Never won it.
I don't
Here's 10
stop.
million if we win it. Like, yeah, all right. I'll give you 10 million if I win the lottery. Like, leave it out. So it has to, the deal has to be structured in the right way to hit that 10 million. So as it stands, Arsenal are the only club with bids in. But if Man City come in, how can you tell all this talk about, oh, Rice wants to go? Obviously, there's no smoke without fire with a lot of these things, but a lot of people act like they're in the know. You're not Rice. You're not the club that are dealing with him. You're journos. So, yeah, I think if Man City come in, it's a no-brainer to play under Pep. I know, look, the Arsenal fans are loving me right now. They're absolutely loving me because I've been consistent. Why would you not want to play for the best manager in football? Why would you not play for the best club in the world right now? People saying, oh, Pep's going to leave in 2 years. And they're not going to go and get Steve Bruce, are they, to replace him? Let's be honest. They're going to go get another quality manager after Pep. So, yeah, I can. If Man City bid, they've got the money. They haven't got to splash out loads of money on all different players, right? They only need a few positions. They've got the money to spend. I can see them slapping it down. And now they're looking at Arsenal after last season and go, do you know what? We do not want to allow them to get a player that can elevate them and maybe be more of a threat to us. So not only is it improving us, it's ensuring that they're not strengthening in such a way. So to me, Man City, if they bid, just bloody put the bid in, Man City, please.
Yeah, you read that one in games that those Gooners.
Yes, oh my God.
Mate, my mentions, you don't understand what I've been having to deal with from these Arsenal fans. So many.
Where's the love? Where's the love, mate? Where's the love?
If he doesn't go, I've got bookmarks. I've got dossiers of bookmarks on Twitter. I've got receipts. I've got clips. Like, oh my God. It is going to be unbelievable. Listen, if he does go to Arsenal and they pay like a ridiculous amount of money, then I'm cool because we've got a good amount of money. None of this Littlewoods catalog payment plan BS. Like, we've got a good bit of money up front. We can replace him and strengthen the team as a whole. But come on, like, there needs to be a humbling. There needs to be some mudding.
You're about the fans. I'm a neutral. For the good of football, Declan Rice has to go to Arsenal, to be honest. They have to strengthen. We cannot go another year with City winning the league. Arsenal have to strengthen. Come on.
Why, I always say this because Arsenal fans say this all the time. Like, oh, you just want a Bundesliga. Why should I want Arsenal to win the league so we can save the league? Why do I give a shit?
You support the London club, so
yeah,
it's you.
Yeah,
but for me, I want the most fun time was between 2009 and 2017, 2018 when no club retained the league title. That was so fun. At least I'm not going to next season watching the games knowing that Arsenal are going to be crap and Man City are going to be great. I want to watch a different kind of league.
I know, but you're neutral, so you don't have a dog in the fight.
You have a lot of beef with Arsenal fans, Wallace. You're really like.
Mate, if you had to deal with it, like, listen, there's a lot of Arsenal fans I like. I do stuff with AFTV. I like outside of football, like a lot of great people, but when it comes to football, so many Arsenal fans just lose their heads, and it's the feeling of they've had one good season, now they're back. We're back in the big time. It's Invincible era Mark II coming up. Here we go. Do you know what I mean? Rather than like approach it with humility. Do you know, we had that good season. We need to make sure we try and solidify the place, see where we're going to be next season. We've got Champions League football to balance. We don't know how that's going to be. Like,
you're echoing Mikel Antonio when he said the worst fan base in England, the Arsenal fan base.
Yeah, they are.
So many people say it.
It's not someone that hasn't even he literally said the Arsenal fan base. It's the same when we said if we were in the Champions League last year, we would win it. So I'm expecting Arsenal this year at least to reach the semis. If you were back last year, if you were in the Champions League, you don't want to win it. I'm expecting Arsenal, who are strengthening this year, to at least go to the semis now. That makes some sense based on the fan base.
Back your chat, mate. Back it. That's it.
But
are we over that rant?
No.
Are we over that rant right now? Because this Declan Rice.
I want to hear from hang on. I want to hear from the Gooners now. That was a long ass rant, and I liked it, Lawless Mel, mate. But go on, Aussie Gonner, speak to me.
Well, think of it this way. The way I look at it right now is Declan Rice has been on Arsenal's radar for a while. We've been checking him out. We've been making approaches. Yes, the deals haven't been in West Ham's favour, but Declan Rice looks at this right now. Now, I know it's like, wouldn't you want to go play for Pep Guardiola? Bloody oath. But when Pep Guardiola does a knee-jerk reaction and says, you know what, maybe I want Rice now, and you have Arsenal have been chasing you for a while, that changes the idea and the dynamic of this deal for Declan Rice, because he's looking at it and thinking, wait a minute, Arsenal are looking at me right now that I am very much a part of their plan. Mikel Arteta has been chasing me, watching me for a while, and they've been chasing me. I'm definitely part of their plan. This is not where I'm going to go to Manchester City and possibly be rotated out of the squad if I don't have a couple of good games. This is a team or a manager that's been looking at me and thinking he's trying to build a team possibly around me. So for Declan Rice, Arsenal is attractive. Manchester City, yes, is attractive, but I think Arsenal is more attractive because in the fact that he will be starting, and it's going to be very hard to knock him out of that position. And the other thing is, this is Arteta who's been looking at him for a while and saying, you know what, I want this guy. But the deal for West Ham is key. We can't go in there with we'll pay you, £2 a friggin' week to get Declan Rice over the, over the line. That's not going to happen. I think Arsenal have been testing the waters when it comes to their transfers. They lowball, they're mucking about, even with the Timber deal, lowballed it, and they're testing the waters. I think the revised bid is going to be serious. Is going to be a serious bid, and I do believe that they're going to have, just like my man said, they're going to have to put a large sum of money up front for Declan Rice. I honestly believe that Declan Rice's best move is to Arsenal, not because I'm an Arsenal fan, but because I think it's the way that Arsenal have approached it and the way that Arsenal have been looking at him for a while. It's not like last minute, we need a midfielder. Oh, who do we go for? Oh, we'll go for Declan Rice.
Mate, this is
you know what I'm saying? There's a lot more behind it.
Last season, no one was talking about Rice to Arsenal. Season before that, no one was talking about Rice to Arsenal.
No, because this season we saw Thomas Partey come unraveled too many times. I was calling for Thomas Partey's head after Liverpool. I was the only Arsenal fan saying Jorginho should be starting right now. Oh, what do you mean? He's a great player. Really? And Granit Xhaka, he's aging. We got the best Xhaka last season. And that was it. You know what I mean? You don't want an aging midfield partnership, especially when Partey's here and here. He's a great midfielder when he's on song, but when he drops off, he drops off. So I think now is about horses for courses, and it's about trying to strengthen the squad. We're not trying to find, this guy could do a job or this guy can do a job. It's like we need a solid midfielder, and let's talk solid midfielders in the Premier League. Let's look at West Ham. Let's just be honest about it. Declan Rice is a solid midfielder, and he's been wonderful West Ham. He has been West Ham's midfield completely. He is the midfield for West Ham. And I think Arsenal now are making moves where it's, unfortunately, the Kai Havertz move I don't agree with, so don't get me there. But Arsenal trying to make moves where it's like, we're not going to try and replace Granit Xhaka with, we're not going to try and replace Partey with Onana from Everton, which is like for like or a little bit lower. We're looking to make improvements so we can compete in the Champions League. So this is why the Rice move came in early, and it's continued from Arsenal, in my opinion.
Lawless, right? Just want to say something. Right. John Hartson, Nigel Winterburn, Ian, we helped you out over the years. Okay? So
Oh yeah, Freddie Lundberg. What about Freddie Lundberg?
Freddie,
Carl
exactly.
Jenkins.
Yeah, you got Freddie.
You know, like we've
They're
helped you out
crap.
over the years.
You want Eddie? We'll give you Eddie and Nketiah as well. Let's throw Eddie and Nketiah into the mix. What do you say, my man?
And El Neni and Holding as well. But like seriously, I came across this thought the other day, and now I can't get it out of my head about this whole Rice deal. You know, Arteta has a relationship with Pep Guardiola, and Arteta is ready to make the moves, but it's not up to him. It's up to Edu to organise all the conversation.
Exactly.
Part of me thinks that he's gone to Pep and said, right, Edu's mugging me off, right? Have a word with West Ham. Say you're interested, a little bit interested, just to try and get Edu to put his fingers out. I wouldn't be surprised if that genuinely happened, because we're ready to make the move. I agree with you though, Lourdes, in terms of the 50 quid a month Klarna deal that we're trying to do with Rice. Just give the money up front. Like the issue for Arsenal is that we don't have enough players that we're looking to move on for a decent enough value for us to then throw out. You know, like there's the talk of Balogun moving on for like 35-40 million, which I think is still a little bit of a reach, if I'm honest. I think Arsenal fans are a little bit they're too a bit oversensitive about him. So I think it's just gonna, I don't know. We need to try and find some more. But my issue with the whole Rice thing, Partey looks like he's moving on. Xhaka looks like he's moving on. If we get Lavia, that's great. If we get Rice, that's great. We're improving in terms of position, man for man, but we're not improving the squad, and that's what I'm worried about. If you look at last season, exactly what happened with injuries, we weren't able to compete then again because we didn't have enough strength and depth. We're replacing our like for like for better than like for like, but we're not. You know, I'd rather we go out there and sign Rice and Havertz is coming in, and we don't lose anyone there. But as I said, we can't move anyone on to finance the deal right now. I just think it's all a bit crap, really. But that's the joy of being an Arsenal fan, isn't it?
You got to pay up.
It's really interesting to look that the ex. I've seen your point. I've just spoke to DM'd the ex West Ham employee, and I said, "Are these quotes right that people are sending through to me?" And he's like, "The ones I read out, it goes slightly misquoted by people. There are some Arsenal accounts who are blatantly like lying about what he said. That someone wrote a comment like the Arsenal's new bid's coming in, and there's an expectation that it will be accepted. That isn't. I'm going to wait. Obviously I couldn't listen to it because I'm on here." But he said he's going to post it all out. But it's really interesting to know what way he goes. And I trust what the ex-West Ham employee says. I think he's a very credible source, and his preference is Arsenal. I think that Arsenal. I don't even think Arsenal have done the wrong thing by starting off with low balling bids. West Ham are going to go and do exactly the same thing if they try and sign Paulinho. No one goes in, generally speaking, at the highest level. They have to get it done now, though, because the fear is that City outbid you. And if City outbid you, it almost becomes irrelevant, all the groundwork you've done on Declan Rice, because the one thing Declan Rice isn't saying is it doesn't matter what happens, I only want Arsenal. But he's got a preference, and a preference isn't the same as having an outright demand to only join Arsenal. So it's very interesting times. This week is going to be amazing around this Declan Rice deal, and I'm annoyed that my team's not involved because I'd love Declan Rice at Manchester United. I think he's sensational.
Do you not hear your bid that could still be coming in, Terry? I keep hearing about this Scott McTominay and Maguire plus 40 million, which is ridiculous.
Oh, the 40 million bit's ridiculous.
That's a good deal. That's a wonderful deal.
I tell you what's a good deal. If I offered you now, West Ham fan, if I turned around, if I could make this deal happen, I said 70 million plus McTominay and Maguire, would you accept it and reject 100 million from the other two?
I think we would do that. Yeah, I think we would do that but it's the problem. Like for me, those two players in a Moyes system would shine, and I think we would, they would really add to the team. So I would accept that under Moyes. Problem is he's got 1 year left on his contract, David Moyes. we don't know who our manager's going to be next season
Yeah,
and
yeah,
what type of football they're going to play. Imagine we
Yeah.
go in, we've got Maguire and that. We then try and get a progressive manager. Now we've got Maguire and it's a mess. But that's a decent deal. 40 million and them two is a joke.
Not enough. Yeah, no, I agree. I think, look, everyone knows I don't beat about the bush with this. An inquiry and a bid are the same thing as far as I'm concerned as a fan. I think we've inquired with that. I think we've been told next to no chance. And the player is definitely looking at 2 other clubs before you. So unless we can put a structure together in terms of a bid that City and Arsenal both can't compete with, that's the only way Man United get Declan Rice, is if we outbid them both. And I just don't see that happening. So I am not holding my breath for a single second.
Terry, don't you think Mount is a factor? If
was
Man
about to
United
ask the
get
same
Mount,
question.
do you think that's a factor?
Again, maybe, but only if we outbid both City and Arsenal. I think if we sat down with Declan Rice and said, look, we'll pay you what Arsenal are willing to pay. You're also on the list of potential future captains. You got Mount to play with. We're in the Champions League. We're going to get new owners. I think we could convince Declan Rice to play for Man United. I really do.
I don't think it would be, and I'll tell you this now, I don't think it would be that hard to sell to Rice for Man United as you think. I think he would be more open to Man United than you think, right? And I'll leave it there.
Well, I've heard him talk about Man United in the past, and he's got great admiration for the club. So we know that he does. My view isn't about convincing him. It's about, I don't think he'd pick us over City and Arsenal. It's almost that notion of we've got to beat both of you to the player. And I just think where Arsenal and City are, and the fact you both got more money than us this summer, I factor that all in. We've got a very low chance. And I think that's why the club and the journalists connect close to our club are just playing it down and not talking about it, because there's no point getting the fans' hopes up if we're going to be disappointed. But if we could land him, I'd be very happy, because the guy is out of this. There's only one midfielder in the world who's attainable that I would buy over him, and that would be Frenkie De Jong. Outside of that, this man is an absolute don of the highest level. There's some super chats here. The first one says, what on earth is the bottom center waffling about? That's you, Gaz. Have in 2023, signing Lavia, Rice, Havertz, Jorginho, and selling Saka and Partey doesn't leave us short at all.
We haven't signed Lavia, though. Exactly.
We haven't signed Lavia or Rice.
We haven't signed Rice.
This is the Arsenal fan I'm
signed
talking
Havertz
about.
yet. We're short. We're short there. If we're solely going in for Rice, and Lavia might be going to Liverpool as well. We're replacing 2 players for 2 players. We don't need that. We need more. City could have put a second string out and won the league or come top 4 last year. Arsenal had to rely on, well, even El Neni were on the bench. We had kids on the bench for most of last season. Think about it.
That's one of the things. That's one of the things about Rice. He is one missing piece from Man United and Man City. Like, he goes tomorrow to Man United, they have already the 3 midfielders to start. He goes to Arsenal, there is still a missing piece there, and he doesn't know who's that person gonna be. He goes to City, he knows that he's starting next to Rodri or ahead of them. He is the only one missing, and if they sign him, everything is clear. Going to Arsenal for him at the moment with Partey and Xhaka leaving isn't clear. You're only having 2 midfielders, because I'm not assuming that Jorginho is your main guy and Havertz isn't the left center midfielder. So I'm assuming you only have 2. So Rice maybe has to know who's the next midfielder you're signing. Is he a top player starting next to Casemiro and Bruno, or next to Rodri, KDB, Foden? I think for him, maybe he's thinking about it this way.
Yeah, I even think just not even depth. I think even the starting 11, I think Arsenal replacing Xhaka and Partey with, if they play Havertz in the left centre mid, ahead of like where Xhaka played, I think they're getting weaker. If you replace Xhaka and Partey with Rice and Havertz, I think they're getting weaker. Like, just in starting, not even the depth.
Best take all day, Connor. Best take all day, bro. Amazing take.
It's funny, Arsenal fans have been telling me for the longest. Until they were linked with him, they always told me Partey's better than Rice. Partey's better than Rice. Now, oh no, Rice is an upgrade on Partey. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Partey was elite for 29 games. He was one of the reasons they were top of the league at game week 29.
Declan Rice is so good. He will be. I know they have do Arsenal have like a leadership group rather than they've got a captain, but they have a leadership group. He'll be added to that leadership group almost instantly. And I don't care how good Odegaard is as your captain. Declan Rice will be the captain of Arsenal inside 3 seasons. He is that good a leader at that level. And Odegaard is a good leader, very good leader. Odegaard will hand it over. Great leaders will hand over leadership in a sports team because they know when someone walks in that dressing room, who's better than them at leading. And if they do, they'll hand that armband over. That's how influential this guy's going to be. And I've seen some Gunners do that. Party clear. He ain't. That's why your manager's willing to get rid of the man for him, which is, I wouldn't have sold him personally this year, but there we go.
Terry,
go on, mate.
on that point, that leadership. If you notice in the pre-match when the team talk's happening, we know Martin Odegaard has got the band around his arm.
Xhaka.
But who's leading the conversations? There's two players that are leading those conversations: Zinchenko and Xhaka. They're the ones that are standing there, like pointing around, like effing do this. It's not Odegaard that's doing that. So if Rice does come in, Odegaard's losing that armband in a much quicker time than 3 seasons.
Xhaka would be your captain if he didn't give it all of that to your fans, wouldn't he?
100%.
Exactly.
100%.
I don't know why you're getting rid of Xhaka. For 15 million as well.
Yeah, I think Xhaka partly wants to go, though, doesn't he? And it's just sometimes people tap out at a club. But we've got some super chats here. This one says, pay it all up front due to FFP. That cripples your spending for multiple transfer windows. That's why clubs very rarely do it as a transfer that big.
We want the majority up front, not all up front, majority, because we need it for our FFP. Because if we get 12 million a season, what are we doing with that?
Yeah, because you guys have got you guys need more than one player to replace him. I think Timber's a massive improvement on the squad. I think most Arsenal fans would agree with that.
Where does he play?
Right centre back or right back?
Right centre back.
Yeah, but like, where does he play? Like, does he start for Arsenal?
He can't. He could do.
Head of Saliba or Ben White.
He's a depth signing, but he's good enough. But maybe not good enough to put Saliba out right now. But Adrien Timber is bloody good, and again, he's a player that could get into the first team of Arsenal. There's no doubt about it. But this is the thing: no one knows what's going to happen, because if you'd have said to a Gunner on the 26th of June 2022. Ben White's going to replace Tommy Asu as your main right back next year, 99% of Gunners would have gone, you're talking nonsense. If you'd have said to City fans, your starting left back and the best left back in the league all season is going to be Nathan Ake, they'd have called you a madman. So this is what I say, he's a very good player. He can fit in that team. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. This here says, is the general consensus Arsenal fans are the worst?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even as an Arsenal fan. I don't like to like myself with those guys, you know. Not you, you're good. But like in general.
Someone's coming to here, Gavin says, we haven't sold Xhaka or a party either, empty head.
Well,
challenge. All sections of the fan base have it. West Ham need to stop acting like we are rivals. Nobody cares. Arsenal and United have to be the two most hated clubs in England.
We've just confirmed that's not the case. The thing is, I've said this on Twitter. People say I'm forcing a rivalry. You don't have to be rivals to dislike a fan base. I've heard from so many Arsenal fans say how they hate Liverpool. They hate Liverpool. So are you forcing a rivalry with Liverpool? Because Liverpool and Arsenal aren't rivals. You can dislike a fan base in general for the way they behave and the way they act and some of the ways that the clubs have acted and their, the cultures around clubs without forcing a rivalry.
But also, I mean, people do respect. By the way, I do agree with you. I think Man United and Arsenal are the two most hated clubs, especially Manchester United. I do believe that. But I was explaining this yesterday to Jess, who's obviously not from London, not from England, that if you're not from London, maybe you don't get the northeast, southwest rivalry thing. Like West Ham don't like any London club. They hate Millwall and Spurs the most, and Chelsea, but they don't like any London club. The only London club they're kind of half friendly with that I've ever seen and witnessed is Leyton Orient. But that was only because Leyton Orient were playing Millwall, and all these West Ham fans turned up to fight Millwall. Yeah. They were defending the Orient fans, but they don't like any of them. They hate all of them, and it's a geographical thing. It's something. Unless you're from, like, I didn't support a London team, but I grew up around it and I saw it. And I went to school. Every West Ham fan I went to school with hated Arsenal, hated Tottenham, hated everyone in London. So there is a rivalry.
I've noticed certain West Ham fans that are from like Essex or from up north or whatever. They're like, what is this? We don't have a problem with Arsenal. Why some of our fans? And I've noticed that it does seem to be most of the London,
East London
West Ham
fans. It's because you grow up and it's like I grew up in the East End and it was just a passing thing. If you were from south of the river, I was like, what? And I didn't even know why. You just got taught as a kid. You didn't like anyone south of the river. West Londoners were posh knobheads, and North Londoners were stuck up. That's just what you were taught to believe. as a kid, and it transcends. So if you're not from the local manor, you're not going to get it. So I think sometimes you've got to ascertain where people are from, what they think. I bet us on the panel who follow American sports, I bet there's things that the local supporters and fans of those clubs or franchises, they call them, say and do that we don't do. Like none of you guys that watch the NFL get up in the morning or during the game. You don't go out into your front garden, sorry, open up the boot of your car and start a barbecue, do you? Like you don't do all the traditions of the NFL because you don't watch it like they do. So yeah, it's one of them ones there. We have a super chat, another one that says it's absolutely mad how hated Arsenal is. Wow, we need to get humbled. We need to get humbled after everything humbling us for the last 20 years. I'm glad I don't live in London. Is what Tevin says there.
The last 20 years hasn't humbled them. That's what makes them so bad.
Yeah,
is they haven't been humbled for the past 20 years.
Not all of them, mate. Not all of them now. Not
all of them. Yeah, look, and there is a when I say
all of them, not all of them.
There are like you guys both top guys.
There's level-headed. There's level-headed, and then there's sort of like you're in the clouds, bro.
A good minority of Arsenal fans that it doesn't apply to. So if you're one of them,
Are you really saying that? It's just because they're here?
No.
That's tweets. I don't chat about Arsenal on my tweets. I'll stay quiet. I'll chat about Kansas City Chiefs, Palermo, man, on my tweets. And darts. I don't chat about Arsenal too tough.
Laka here says, if we get Rice plus Timber plus Lavia, I don't care about Havertz. However, if Xhaka and Partey leaves, we would need one more midfielder. Point of view, Mount 60 million max. I agree. I agree. Would that be enough? Would that be enough? Yeah, maybe you do need one more midfielder. I don't know if you're going to go and get one, but we'll see, my friend. Thanks for the super chat. If Mount signs a new contract, Chelsea fans would be raving about him. Some would, some wouldn't. Some didn't like him.
That's 50-50.
Connor would. Connor would be happy.
Mount played inside forward, not right wing. Oh,
what? He played inside forward.
Switching flanks quite a bit, weren't they?
Potato.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll come back to the off-topic one. Barca need to sell or lose Gavi also. Oh, come on, please give me Frenkie. Honestly, I'll be so happy. My worry is City will offer more whatever we bid. Listen, that's the worrying factor. It's City; they could do it. Or
do you think that's why City are waiting? Like because they want to see what that third Arsenal bid's going to be, so they're not. Once they know what that is, they could just put a little bit on top. An extra 5 mil or something.
Oh, that's a great theory. The Man United fan I was chatting to today, he says he thinks why Man United are not bidding too much of a players they want, like a Casado, is they don't want Man United tax. They're waiting for a fee to be relatively agreed with one club, and then we'll come in and match or slightly better it. And again, it's fan theory, so often they're a little bit conspiratorial, but I'm like, I can buy that. That definitely can happen. If they do, Edu will have to match it, or he can go. Yeah, I mean, if you guys don't get Rice, do you guys think Edu's got to leave?
I think he should have left a long time ago, to be fair.
The way his dealings are, it's a bit how you're going. He's dragging his feet a lot. And then when he's handing money over the clubs that didn't even want money, that didn't even need to get money for players, you know what I mean, bruv? You know what I mean? Just giving money away. I think the amount of time we've spent on it, the amount of time we spent with Rice and the whole saga, if he doesn't get the deal done, that is not going to shine very good on Edu. And it might be time for him to just see you later. Because to be perfectly honest, if you want to compete with the big boys, you got to make big boy moves. You can't drag your feet. You can't. And some of the dealings that he has done in the past, most Arsenal fans are aware of, they haven't been great. We've let too much slip under his tenure.
There we go. The Man City Centurions had KDB, Silva, Firmino, and only one was known for his defensive prowess. Same with Barca, Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, and Madrid with Kroos, Mudryk, and Casemiro. Reference to my previous message. Oh, sorry, I didn't do the previous one first. It said, all this Kai makes Arsenal's midfield weak is BS. No disrespect, except expect better ball knowledge from the panel, based on what he said there, because the other teams are more.
He played in number 8 under Lampard, and he was shocking. So
I think him
you
and
know
Mount,
what?
him and Mount were side
You
by
look
side.
forward to that. You look forward, yeah. Him and Mount were side by side.
Him and,
Yeah,
and that was horrible for both.
yeah
they
exactly.
both struggled. So yeah,
You can
nah,
enjoy him
nah.
at number 8. You can enjoy it. You can enjoy him.
That's apparently where they want to play him, innit? That's why
Yeah,
his
it's gonna
Arteta
be-
season is now.
It's going to be
I see
terrible.
what
I
he's
know.
doing here, Connor. I see
I've
what
got an
he's
idea.
doing
It could be
here, Connor.
canteen later. The canteen lady, mate. You never know.
And then one defensive midfielder gets injured, and then you're screwed. So that's I think that's the point that I was trying to make. You know, like if one position in a further attacking position gets injured, then we have got, not that I'd rather play him, but at least we have got a little bit of depth in terms of Fabio Vieira or Emma Smith Rowe.
Don't start.
But if exactly, I'd rather not. But like, well, not Smith Rowe, I like him. But in the defensive midfield position, if he goes, then we've got to start thinking about playing El Neni if he's fit. Come on,
Wow.
got to think further forward than a starting 11. You have to be a squad.
It's also about Arteta's rotation. So the problem is Arteta can have a squad. Is he going to use it? He had it. He had Jorginho just sitting there. And I'm not saying Jorginho's gone. But let's be perfectly honest. Partey was down in the dumps. He was a 3 out of 10 in so many games after Liverpool. Jorginho's sitting there just doing this. He comes on and it's like, oh, Jorginho's wonderful. No, he's not wonderful. He's giving you a 6 out of 10. And for God's sake, for the last 4 games, you saw a 3.
Yeah, because it's been stinking out of the place. Yeah, for sure.
What
100%.
do you guys make of this from Raul? He says, can City pay 100 million for Rice and Guardiola? My answer is yes. And I say that
Probably.
because if they just bought those 2 players and Kovacic, that would, I'd say 100 mil each. That's 225 million. That's not even as much as Man United and Chelsea spent last season. And they just got 380 million pound in prize money.
Yeah,
So
and they're gonna sell Laporte for 45 as well. So that's
Yeah, that's
added
what
to
and
that.
they'll probably raise 100 million in sales this summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, they can afford it
Easy.
easy.
Kyle
Easy.
Walker, if he goes as well, like this
Walker.
money
Cancelo.
coming in. Yeah, there is. Oh, Cancelo is money. Oh, come on. Yeah.
Yeah, they can-
Cancelo,
Phillips.
yeah.
Yeah, they'll probably raise 100 million income. Yeah, they can definitely
Freed up
afford it.
Gundogan's wages as well.
Yep,
They
yeah.
will raise more than what he will pay with Cancelo.
They could end up being almost like they could be almost neutral.
Being profit, Terry.
De Jong to Man City. De Jong to Man City. Stuff this, man. De Jong to Man City. Get it done. Get it done.
Come on,
Star man. Get it done.
I do mean it. Like you had De Jong to that Man United midfield with a bit of Mount,
Oh,
with a bit of Onana, and then another goal scorer up front. We're challenging for that title next year, Man United. I'm telling you, 110%. We add that to this team.
The players want to go to Man United where your ownership status hasn't even been confirmed, though. That's all up in the air.
Mate, I agree with you 110%. It's that getting that over the line is going to be very, very key indeed. This here says off topic in the last 5 years with League has produced the biggest talents, the Eredivisie, the Belgian Pro League, the Liga Nos or Ligue 1. Oh, I've never ever thought
Liga Nos, the Portuguese league in the last 5 years. I
What,
think
Liga?
So. You think so? Liga is produced more
if
talent
we're
that
going
was
back 5
successful.
years,
Look at the
2017.
people that left the Portuguese league, the likes
Oh.
of Diaz, maybe, but the likes of the people that left the Portuguese leagues are thriving in
Last
they've
5
all-
years.
Well, maybe
Well done, the rest
it's
of Europe.
it's up for debate, but
the
I think
Belgian Pro League's at the bottom of the 4, I would say.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
last 5 years, who have been the stars that have left the Eredivisie in the last 5 years that have gone on to continue to be stars?
De
Really?
Jong, De Ligt didn't
Yeah,
De
De Ligt,
Ligt didn't light up the Italian league. Had to be sold to Bayern Munich.
Martinez has done great.
Lisandro,
United.
yeah.
Well, that's 1 year though, but even then, he wasn't developed in that league, was he? Or they
No,
buy
no,
it?
it was bought.
Yeah, he wasn't even developed in that league, as in like through the academies. Yeah, so I think you're probably right. The Portuguese league, probably,
Yeah,
but yeah, I haven't
league
really
one.
I haven't spent any time thinking about it, so I don't really have an answer off the top of my head. But there we go. We have another super chat here that says Paris alone has developed the best talent.
Did they really?
Maybe Monaco.
Yeah, and Kunku.
maybe
That Monaco side from like 2016.
Yeah.
They lost everybody. Water. They were absolute
Yeah.
borders
Yeah,
everywhere. you know.
that team got ripped from pillar to post. It's crazy how. But I always love when you
became a
get teams.
feeder team for everyone.
There's always a couple of them that, like some that do brilliantly. Bernardo Silva, of course, Mbappe, and then you get your Bakayoko, who, by the way, in that Monaco team, he looked
Hold on.
ridiculously good.
You got the
And
worst
it-
one.
Yeah, it's crazy
You
when
got
that happens.
Fabinho.
it's crazy when you buy the one. The Man United did it with Ajax. All them great players, that Ajax team that got to the semis. Like I remember when we bought Donny. Honestly, I was so convinced that this guy was going to kill it, and he's just been rank. He's been morning breath, absolute morning breath. He really has. Listen, viewers, I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Remember, right now, we're sponsored by Tops Now. They are a brilliant company that do trading cards and other collectibles. The Champions League range is out now. Highly collectible, highly lucrative in the future for you as well. But if you're just into the trading cards, into the collectibles for the sheer hobby of it, get signed up now. Scan the QR code on the screen. If you sign up with your email address, if you just scroll down the screen, you'll see the little box to do it in. You get a 10% discount on their products. So go and
okay, so Terry's decided to just get the hell out of Dodge.
What a time for his internet to go out.
Get signed up now. Mount Bet and Bruno and Mount Bet and Bellingham.
Oh, really?
Oh,
wow.
Interesting, Terry.
Yeah, so make sure you get those tops. Make sure you scan that QR code. All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
10%
Scan
off.
it now, because if you scan it now, Terry will start talking again. If you don't scan it now, we'll be stuck here for days. You don't want to see us for that long.
We really need to end this show.
It's 5 o'clock in the morning, boy.
Set us free. Set us free.
Is he back?
He's not. He's
No,
not.
I'm back now. Oh, mate, did that just happen in my room? Can you guys hear me again now?
yeah.
Yeah.
Every computer screen in this room started glitching, going up and down. That was actually weird. Like,
So Declan Rice did get signed by Arsenal. Internet shut down.
it wasn't even the Wi-Fi. It was something else. Like it wasn't like loading. It just went all. You know that scene in the new Superman when Zod like takes over the TVs and it all goes weird. That's what my screens did. You guys just turned it into like black and white smudges everywhere. It was crazy. But listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. I'm gonna go before something bad happens, and we'll see you all again soon. Peace.